Hi guys and welcome to our next video. This video is practical and it's going to be all about DoS attacks. How can we implement and create successful DoS attack, how can we shut down a server, and how can we actually see if the server is actually vulnerable to that kind of attacks. So I am here using Kali Linux as my main machine, and I have my Windows 7 using XAMPP control panel for running web server with Apache, MySQL and PHP. So here I have a WordPress installation, and now we're going to navigate and see what information can we get from there. So just open a web browser, in my case Firefox, and navigate to the IP of the web server. So in my case 192.168.1.11. And here we have some WordPress block, some WordPress page, and now we have to actually use tools and go for manual checks to see if we can actually take that server down. So the first thing is to actually analyze and see if we can get a direct interaction with the IP without any kind of filtering. So you can see here that we've accessed the web page directly with the IP in the URL. So that means our packets are directly transmitted and calculated from the web server. So this is like the first evidence of vulnerability to that attack. So the next thing we can do is to actually open a terminal and use tools like Nmap and Netcat to see if we can actually get a raw packet to be actually transmitted and calculated by the server. So here we can use first Ncat to see if we can get that packet going on. So nc, go for the IP 192.168.1.11, and therefore specify the port, in our case port 80. Press enter, and here we have all the HTML tags from the front page. Here we have like a successful connection, so that means our packets were successfully transmitted and calculated by the server, and we even got the response back. Now we can do this using other tools like Nmap and Metasploit, and now let's show how it's done with the Metasploit. So just start the MSF console. So keep in mind that the DoS stack can not only be used via HTTP service or web servers, it can be used for basically any kind of server where the packets are not filtered. So the server is accepting raw packets and are actually calculating that packets. It can be used by sending different packets, for example acknowledgement or SYN packets, whenever the server is basically vulnerable. So your point is to actually see what packets are accepted and what packets are not filtered, in order to actually use that package to actually float and overwhelm the server. With Metasploit, there are commands, for example, connect, that allow us to actually see if we can get a connection with some kind of a server on some specific port, or to see if we can get actually a packet to get calculated by a server. So to use connect, type connect and therefore specify the IP. So in my case 192.168.1.11, and therefore the port, which is 80. And as you can see, we get an output of connected to that port. So now we know that we have a connection, and if we press enter, we're gonna get the exact same HTTP request with the Ncat. So by this way, we know for sure that we can connect on port 80 with raw packets without any kind of filtration. So now it's time to actually use that in order to exploit that vulnerability and to make the server to crash. So for example, there are a lot of Metasploit modules that can go for that can be used for DDoSing, but there are also a lot of tools, a lot of open source tools in GitHub, or you can even create yourself one, and we're gonna see that how it's done in future videos. So now we can use one module which is called TCP SYNFOOT, and it's located in auxiliary /DOS/TCP and therefore SYNFOOT. Now we can specify the options with the show options command, and now we have to fill our remote hosts, so our basic targets. So set every hosts 192.168.1.11 in our case. We have the port is 80 by default, and therefore we do not have to touch it. And now we have all the needed option, the required option to run that exploit, to run that DoS stack. So the only thing we have to do is to actually type exploit or run and to see what is actually happening. So exploit, enter, and now you see the output including that IP on that port. And before we actually verified that we can connect with raw packets on that port specifically. So now we are almost 100% sure that this is going to make the server to crash, but we just need time. It is a good practice to also use multiple instances of Metasploit or the DDoSing tool you are using. So for example, we can run new terminals and therefore open the exact same exploit and therefore run it in multiple instances so we can get better and quicker results. So now we can just open Firefox and navigate to our page and manually check if we can get any error upon loading the basic web page, upon loading the IP. So now we just need time to actually see if our attack is going to work. So I'm going to pause the video and see you guys in a little bit later. So guys, welcome back, and now it's time to see the results because DoS stack is requiring some time. And now as you can see, my web server and the patch is running. It has process IDs here. It's nothing actually strange and unique in the server side. So let's go to our current machine and see that we cannot load that page. So this is what happens when you successfully DDoS a specific IP, a specific target. So you cannot actually connect to that IP and use that content. So here, if I actually try to refresh or connect again, see that the browser is loading, it's trying to get some content, but it's not getting anything because the web server is actually overflowed, it's actually overwhelmed, and so he cannot calculate the packets from me, so I cannot get a response and basically I cannot get the page. This is the basic example of DDoS stack and how can you actually use tools and Metasploit in order to shut down servers, shut down traffic, because for example all our services are working and now we're only shutting down the HTTP service, so that means anyone who is accessing the web server are not getting any content at all because we've overwhelmed that server and it cannot actually calculate our requests. So thank you guys for watching. This is the basic DDoS example, and now in the future videos you're gonna see more advanced tools and advanced techniques. We're gonna go into even a Tor network and try to DOS from there in order to see how it works and what can you do from there. So thank you everyone for watching and see you in the next video.